Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum everyone. Welcome to the e-learning training session series from Deanship of E-Learning and IT. Myself Rima Shaheen, and today's topic is virtual reality implementation in education. By the name of the topic, it seems so interesting because this is related to something technology, new inventions, and new computing things. By the name of the virtual reality, the first come in my mind. For example, I just thinking about the virtual reality, I can imagine that this is related to something which is not exist, but it's exist. Like it will give you a option to make your imagination in real. So let's move toward the topic and let me explain why we choose this topic today. Before going toward the new inventions, know about what actually the virtual reality and how it will be helpful for us in education, let me remind you some points that in 2000, from 2019 to till now, we are much familiar with the technology, computer, the new inventions, and we use in education many technologies. Why? Because of the pandemic. Pandemic gave us a one wide area to think that we can do the things with technology very easily, and there is nothing to be stopped. Basically, virtual reality is also linked with the e-learning, virtual reality, technology, augmented realities. These all terminologies are interconnected. You all are much familiar with the e-learning, and this is also a part of e-learning. Now we are in the era of the e-learning. You all are taking the classes online, and you are all the interact with the e-learning platforms, the LMS systems, and all these technologies. So this terminology will be very easy for you all to understand. Basically, virtual reality is considered as important technology, giving scope for a great need for adverse fields. Virtual reality is sometimes referred to as an immersive multimedia, is a computer simulated environment that can simulate physical presence in places in the real world or imaginated world. So as I quoted before, that if you want to see your imagination, let's come into the virtual reality system. Virtual reality is going to change the world. Since the early days of virtual reality, technologists stated that it's as the next major computing platform that capture our imaginations for its ability to substitute our physical reality and our sensory experiences. So virtual reality is related to something which will give you a one illusion about something is appear or exist physically, and you can also sense that one. This is not just like a screen. You will not interact with any of the screen in front of any computer or like that. It will give you a one complete sense that you can touch that any of the physical item you have, and you will be able to sense that one. Mostly we in education need to integrate these experiences in teaching and learning purposefully to stay current with required practice and skill in the marketplace. If I talk about the something virtual reality in education, that this is very, very much informative and very much helpful for the teaching and the learning process. How we will see in the next coming slides that how it will be beneficial for the teaching and the learning perspective. Or if someone talk about the virtual reality, that something comes in mind, this is related to maybe gaming. This is related to something environment which you can play with the games and all that. But the virtual reality is not just stop with the gaming. It's now in the every field of life, and it's there is a more invention to make it more strong. To make it good understanding in simple words, let's have one definition about what is a virtual reality. Virtual reality is the use of computer technology to create a simulated environment. Unlike traditional user interface, VR places the user inside an experience. Virtual reality will allow you to come into the one environment where you can feel, you can see each and everything, and you can experience very well. This is not just a traditional one computer screen in front of you, and you just watch that one and you don't know how it's how you can sense that one, how you will be touched and how it will be feel like that. But the virtual reality give you a one complete environment for this to you can see the physical item, and also you can sense that one. If I talk about something which is virtual reality technologies, for virtual reality technology, mostly immediately recognized component, the most component which is used, that is a head mounted display. This is the most used virtual reality component. Human beings are visual creatures, and display technology is often the single biggest difference between immersive virtual reality system and traditional user interface. For instance, if I talk about something, this one is related to the head mounted display. This is a one type of virtual reality component, you can say. For instance, the cave automatic virtual environment actively display virtual content onto the room side screen. If you see in the screen, there is a one room size screen and you have one virtual environment there. So this is called the cave automatic virtual environment. While they are fun for people in universities and the big labs, consumers and industries variable are the Wild West. So it's not limited to the any gaming area. This is must be related to the universities, some labs, some big labs, and some industries as well. While a multiplicity of emerging hardware and the software option, the future variables is unfolding but yet unknown. Concepts such as HTC, Vivo, Pro Eyes, and the Oculus Cultus, that is our Oculus Quest, and the PlayStation VR are the leading the way. These are the different components we are using in the virtual reality as a, you can say it's a hardware, but this is a combination of a hardware and the software. These concepts basically help us to create a virtual environment, and we will be able to interact with the virtual and the illusion, all the environment which is created by some software and the hardware techniques. So we can say we have different big companies like Google, Apple, Samsung, Lenovo, and the other who may surprise the industry with new levels of immersions and usability. They are working more and more to make the technology more strong. Whoever comes out ahead, the simplicity of the buying a helmet-sized device that can work in a living room, offices, or factory floor has made HMD centers stage, and when it comes to virtual reality technologies. So virtual reality is not just related to the industrial level, you can use in your living room as well. So it will give you a one wide area and you can use it and the experience will be amazing. Now the question is, okay, this is the virtual reality, and one more terminology I want to explain here, that is the augmented reality. Augmented reality and virtual reality is very close to each other. These all terminologies are interlinked, so we have to mention here. Augmented reality, in the last session series, Mr. Shakil Ahmed presented augmented reality in a very well and very good information about the augmented reality. We have the recording sessions, you can go through with this. But now I want to explain about what is the difference between the virtual reality and augmented reality. Here is some description. It will give you a complete an idea about what is actually the virtual reality and augmented reality. Let me start this one.
Virtual reality. Might think VR is all about gaming, isn't it? But the potential of VR doesn't stop there. It is revolutionizing many other industries like education, military, medicine, and sports, to name a few. Here are some examples of VR in real life. Class VR is an innovative new concept in the educational industry which uses VR tech to raise engagement and knowledge retention for students of all ages. Class VR uses VR headsets with a user-friendly interface for both students and teachers, gesture controls, and embedded educational resources. Facebook is coming up with a new idea called Facebook Horizon, which is an ever-expanding VR community where you can explore, play, and create. It helps you to defy physics and reality and experience the impossible. And we also have VR 360, which is a 360-degree audiovisual simulation. It allows the user to look around in any direction, just like how they look and observe things in real life. You can experience anything from standing on top of a pyramid to enjoying Tomorrowland sitting at home. Isn't that wonderful? We can't end the topic if we didn't highlight the role of VR in gaming. A great take on this is the movie Ready Player One by Steven Spielberg. The film is set in the year 2045 when the world is on the brink of chaos and collapse. But humans have found salvation in a virtual reality universe where they could make the impossible possible. Let's hear what Steven himself feels about the VR universe.
World that we would someday be able to escape into. A world that we leave our world, but we don't leave our world. We don't have to walk 5 feet to leave our world. We just have to put something over our eyes, and we are suddenly thrust into a wonderful world of someone's imagination.
Next up is AR. Augmented reality is a technology that projects computer-generated augmentations on top of reality, helping us perform tasks better and efficiently. AR, which falls in between reality and virtual reality, is a method used to render real-world data and present it intuitively so that virtual elements resemble the present reality to an extent. The revolution doesn't stop here. Have you ever tried to catch Pokemon using Pokemon Go or fit any furniture using the IKEA app? These are made possible by the technology called augmented reality. Augmented reality has seen raging in popularity over the past few years, and the revolution is not stopping anytime soon. AR is giving brands the power to provide their customers with unique experiences that can prove to be the difference between purchase and dropout. Let's have a quick look at the history of AR. So you might think AR is a new technology. Well, on the contrary, it has been around for numerous decades. Ivan Sutherland developed the first AR gadget called Sword of Damocles during 1968. This system used computer graphics to show users simple wireframe drawings. From Pokemon Go to training future surgeons, augmented reality is starting to infiltrate many industries of our society today. But what exactly is augmented reality? Looking into the most popular applications of AR, first up we have location-based AR apps like Google Maps, which place digital directions on top of the real world and shows you where to walk. Next, we have Google Lens. It is another application that enhances the search experience. With Google Lens, you don't have to type your query anymore. Just open the app and aim it at what you want to learn about. Google Lens will identify the object and give you all the essential details about it. Then we have the Snapchat filters. These are one of the best examples of AR, and as you know, Snapchat has become a trend among the younger generations. Did you know that Mysterio couldn't have fooled Spider-Man without his AR technology?
See, that wasn't so hard.
But thanks to his spider sense, Spidey dodged all the drones, destroyed them all, and gave us a good ending. Even Facebook has plans to build AR glasses to create 3D maps of the world. If you are still skeptical about AR, check out what Mark Zuckerberg has to speak about AR.
So that's why I'm so excited about augmented reality. Because it's going to make it so that we can create all kinds of things that until today have only been possible in the digital world. And we're going to be able to interact with them and explore them together.
Next in this line of immersive technologies is MR. If virtual reality and augmented reality impressed you, get ready for the best of both worlds, that is mixed reality MR. Mixed reality is all about blending the real world with virtual reality. Unlike augmented reality, users can interact with virtual objects in mixed reality. What was nearly impossible a few years ago and was limited to our imagination, like interacting with your favorite Marvel superhero, is now possible because of MR technology. Does it seem similar to AR? Well, you can call it AR 2.2. MR is still in its early stage, and it will take a while for it to reach the consumers. However, the investment in MR and AR is expected to reach $4 billion by this year, and the future of MR is not so distant. MR's applications are vast, and its main uses are in the fields of education, training, sports, healthcare, space missions, and even construction. Though many use cases are in the testing phase, this idea isn't far-fetched by any means. The best example of MR is the Microsoft HoloLens, which is just a pair of MR smart glasses. It allows you to experience 3D holograms that melt seamlessly into the real environment. You can interact with those augmentations using your bare hands and get all the information you need. Let's now hear what Alex Kipman, the designer behind the HoloLens, thinks about mixed reality.
In the real world. We're finding great success in mixed reality, from education to healthcare to manufacturing, which is what you see a lot of the cases happening here.
Here's a quick recap of what we know so far. So augmented reality adds digital elements to a live environment, whereas virtual reality implies a complete immersive experience that shuts out the physical world. On the other hand, a mixed reality experience combines elements of both AR and VR, where you can interact with both the real world and the digital elements. Immersive technologies are quickly becoming a part of our daily lives, and they are here to stay, not only enhancing human experiences, but helping brands market their products effectively and successfully to attract their target audiences. From gaming to buying furniture, immersive technologies are taking the world by storm.
So this is all detail about what is actually the virtual reality and augmented reality. And in this video, you saw there is one more terminology, that is a mixed reality. So these are the different technology which is evolved with time. So if you are thinking that this is a very rich topic, how we can use in a real life and how we can use in the study and education. So if you go back 5 years and nobody thought at that time everything will be online in the e-learning, and we will do the all the education activities online. So this is the VR is also a future. So today we are discussing about the very rich topic that is related to the some technologies, and it's a already you know about the e-learning and all these things, but this is a future and it will be helpful for you. Okay, let's move toward the next part.
Hey everyone.
The question is, how is virtual reality used in education? You as an educator think how it will be applicable in the education. Virtual reality can improve the education by providing students with memorable and immersive experience that would otherwise not be possible. If you think about the medical field and some other field like related to the chemistry and related to the different options, you can say even related to the computer, augmented reality and the virtual reality will be helpful for all these fields of education. Virtual reality is accessible to every student and can be easily monitored by the teachers. Virtual experience have a power to engage and inspire students in a unique and powerful way. We should consider its implementation for teaching and learning, development, cost, and the accessibility constraints. So it will be helpful to reduce the development cost and some accessibility constraints. It is an amazing step toward the education. We know that VR might enhance student learning, prepare them for the real career, bring students and teachers together, regardless of location, and the improved comprehension through direct interaction and engagement with the learning objects. Especially where highly complex problem required some understanding and visualization. For example, here is one example in front of you that if you related to the medical field. So this is a big example for you all. With the help of the virtual reality and some technology, you can explore the things very easily in a very safe environment. So in this way, virtual reality help us in education very well. So here's some of the examples of the virtual reality in education. The first one is virtual field trips. If you are related to the traveling, if we supposed to travel to some other planet, so virtual reality give us someone very amazing trip toward any of the planet. For example, a Mars field trip. And if you want to experience a museum, if you want to visit the museum with all the guidance which is hidden in the different pictures, and nobody can tell you in a very good detail as the virtual reality tools and technologies can tell you. And if we are talking about the virtual lab environment to conduct STEM classes, we have different classes related to the medical, related to the chemistry. So you can see here is the one example of the molecules. So here is the one physical environment for the describing about the molecules. So this is a more attractive and interactive for the students and a big source of learning. So why Microsoft uses virtual reality headset to train workers? Let's have a look toward how the big companies use the virtual reality to train their trainees in even in the field of the if we talking about some exposures area, some area where there is a problem to create a real environment and there is no safe for the human, there is a chances of human death more. So these kind of virtual environment will help us to understand and will help us to train the trainees. Let's have a look toward the why Microsoft uses the virtual reality headset to train their workers.
Virtual reality hasn't exactly seen the booming success in gaming and entertainment that was once expected.
Let's do this.
But this VR has a totally different purpose, keeping workers safe.
I'm gonna go ahead and say evacuate for half mile.
It could also keep VR alive.
Wow, looks like we made the right call.
At a time when headset shipments have been down 4 of the last 5 quarters, and just a month after IMAX announced it will close all its VR centers this year. Market forecasts predict spending on virtual and augmented reality headsets for training is expected to reach $2.2 billion by 2022. And companies like startup PixoVR are taking notice.
I think we learned our lesson doing mobile apps, that it's much more difficult. There's not, the budgets aren't necessarily there. And this made a lot more sense for us.
Push your hand just a little bit into the wall.
PixoVR made the switch 2 years ago from creating video games to creating training modules.
Obviously flammable, explosion risk.
Like this one,
which teaches first responders how to identify and react to explosive chemical leaks.
VR provides an opportunity for people to train in environments that otherwise are impossible. Far too risky, far too expensive.
By simply putting on an HTC Vive headset, workers can experience life and death situations that are impossible to safely recreate in real life.
Here we go, going up.
Like a rickety 15-story construction site without solid scaffolding.
I'm really high up. Oh my gosh.
You make a decision
I think I'm gonna hook it to this rope up here.
and suffer the consequences if you choose wrong.
Oh my gosh.
The sensation of falling is so real. It's immediately clear this experience will stick with me.
I died.
I'll remember that fall and which safety measures I should have followed far longer than I'll remember any PowerPoint slide.
That felt very real.
There's research to back this up too. One study found students had 30% better knowledge retention 2 weeks after learning with VR as opposed to traditional education methods.
There's a whole bunch of research that shows that if you are a human and you interact with something in 3 dimensions, as opposed to just looking at it on a piece of paper, you understand it much more profoundly and fundamentally. It's just the way that our brains are wired.
And there's a big need for more effective training. Last month, the National Safety Council announced that preventable workplace deaths have been on the rise in the US for 3 years in a row.
Essentially, 14 people every day leave their homes for work and don't come home. This is absolutely unacceptable, and there are things that we can do about it. Technology like AR and VR are really going to engineer the human error out of these equations, but we've got to start to really do the research to understand what's working and what just has potential so that we can give employers the best resources available to help make their workers safer.
This year, the NSC will begin a 2-year, $500,000 research project to study the effectiveness of VR and AR, among other technologies, for reducing workplace fatalities.
Workplace fatalities and injuries have consistently cost society more than $150 billion every year. So while there certainly is upfront costs in investing in new technologies, those technologies will save companies in the long run with a reduction in fatalities and injuries.
One startling number, 713 workers fell to their deaths in 2017, a number that Hurwitz is hoping will go way down once workers start training on PixoVR's fall prevention module.
And hopefully we'll see the numbers go down for accidents and certainly fatalities. You know, it's something that the entire company has got behind because we know we're making lives better.
Hurwitz is in good company. Most of the major players in the VR space have begun using their software and their headsets for workplace training.
The return on investment in the commercial space is so profound for some of these key scenarios, like remote assistance, like laying out physical spaces, like guiding someone through a complex process, that these things literally pay for themselves very quickly. So that's where we're seeing the most interest in investment right now.
Microsoft's HoloLens, technically an AR headset, has been added to Trimble hard hats on construction and mining sites to enhance worker safety. It's used by 20,000 ThyssenKrupp elevator technicians to make sure they're safely strapped in when making repairs. Chevron technicians wear HoloLens for otherwise precarious oil refinery repairs, and Japan Airways mechanics use it to stand inside a virtual jet engine while it's running to learn how to safely maintain it.
Folks that have a tool belt or a hard hat have not benefited as directly from the digital revolution. So mixed reality, we think, and devices like HoloLens are one of the trends that can really bring the benefits of the digital revolution to whole new categories of people that haven't benefited before.
Even the Army has turned to VR and AR training. In November, Microsoft signed a 2-year, $480 million military contract with the US government to deliver up to 100,000 HoloLens headsets for use in combat missions and training. And the list goes on. Samsung's Gear VR headset is being used to train workers on new production lines at Magna's automotive parts manufacturing plants. DHL is using Google Glass in its warehouses. Pacific Gas and Electric is using Heartwood 3D VR to teach employees valve assembly. In 2017, Facebook launched Oculus for Business, offering bundles of their Oculus Go and Oculus Rift headsets to businesses like Tyson Foods, Walmart, and Verizon. Tyson Foods, in particular, had some promising results. They used VR modules by Menlo Park-based Striver to train its workers in safety and hazard awareness, and they saw a 20% reduction in worker injuries and illnesses. Verizon stores plan to have 15,000 of its frontline employees put on Oculus headsets and be confronted by armed robbers. A high-intensity Striver simulation to prepare them for worst-case scenarios. And now Walmart is using Striver's virtual training modules in all 4,700 US stores, training more than 1 million employees with 17,000 Oculus headsets. A major hurdle that's plagued VR since its early days. Will all those employees get nauseous once they strap on the headsets?
With Walmart specifically and all of our customers, we work really hard to make sure we're putting you in pretty much a static decision-making moment. We're not moving the camera. We're not running you down an aisle. We're making it very, very comfortable for the employee.
Striver has raised $21 million in venture funding and has secured deals to bring immersive learning to companies like BMW, JetBlue, Fidelity, and even the NFL.
It puts you right in the field.
And PixoVR? Their fall prevention module is just the beginning. Now they're working on programs to prevent the other 3 most deadly accidents on construction sites: electrocution, being struck by heavy objects, and caught between things.
The market is definitely starting to show momentum and change for the better. Over a year ago, 2017, the question was, what is VR? Today, the question is, what do you have to buy? And they're also under the belief now that VR training is a great solution for them.
So the question is where to have to buy. Before, people ask what is VR, and now the question is where to have to buy. So after this video and after this explanation, you have a wide information about, good information about what is virtual reality and how it is powerful technology and we use in a different field of life. So there is just information about all these things. So let's have a discussion on about elements of virtual reality experiences. We have some elements which is related to the virtual reality. The first one is the virtual world. It will create a one virtual world for you, which is not exist in a reality, but it seems to be real world. And the emotions and the sensory feedback, interactivity, comfort, interaction, video games, and education. The end of the purpose of these virtual reality and each and everything is the give information and give education about any of the topic and any of the technology, because it will help us to create an environment which is a real environment, which seems to be a real environment, and you have also a sensory experiences with that. So this is a very safe technology which give you a one complete environment, and you can train your trainee, as you saw in this video, that in the army, in the other fields of life, you can use with a very safe environment. There is no chances of risk and no chances of death and injury of the employees. Let's have a look toward what are the advantages and disadvantages of the virtual reality. Every technology, everything have some advantages and some disadvantages. Let's have a look how many advantages we have. The first one is the virtual reality creates a realistic world. Yeah, it's true. It will give you a one complete realistic world environment. And the second thing is it enables users to explore places. This will give you a one wide area where you can explore your places and you can grab all the information related to one technology or one, if they want to give you one information about, for example, it's related to the medical field. So you have an option to explore more about that one. And the third thing is through virtual reality, user can experiment with an artificial environment. So this is true. This is a big advantage for us. And the virtual reality make the education more easy and comfort. This is true. The visual things are more, just grab the more retention of the students and the learners rather than any traditional interfaces. So let's have a look toward the disadvantages. The first one is the equipments used in virtual reality are very expensive. You saw the different virtual reality technology. There's the simple headsets, and there is Oculus and HoloLens. These are our equipments which is related to the virtual reality, and it's must, and it's little very expensive, you can say. It consists of complex technology. Yes, it is consisting of a very complex technology. And the third thing is, it in virtual reality environment, we cannot move to our own like in the real world. So we can move, we cannot move in the like we are in the real world. So this is also a disadvantage of the virtual reality. We have some of the advantages and some of the disadvantages. And if I talk about the expensive equipment, yes, it's not possible that for simple man to conduct these kind of the virtual reality environment. But yes, it is possible for the institutions, universities, industries. They can do and they can implement in their fields very easily. So we have all the discussion about the virtual reality. The purpose of today's session is to give you awareness about the new technology and new terminologies. These all terminologies are related to the future, and it's not a very far future. It's already built and many field of life we are using. You saw the different information and discussion about the virtual reality. It is important part of the education, and it will be a very necessary part of the education in the future, near future. So thank you so much. I explained this terminology with some information and some videos. Hope you understand about the virtual reality, augmented reality, and all the terminologies and technology. If you have any question, you can ask me, and we will bring the more topic related to these kind of new technology. The purpose of these kind of topics are to spread the awareness about the e-learning and technologies, which is very important and already used in the educational field as well. So if anyone wants to ask anything, you can ask. Thank you so much.